and welcome back to part 30 of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, where today, continuing once again with more Labyrinth of Amala, before we proceed properly through the 5th Kalpa, I want to show something that I didn't showcase in the 4th Kalpa. If you go on a quarter or 3 quarters, you'll enter the Hell Maze. The Hell Maze, I originally was going to skip because it's a side quest that I had zero interest in, but then when I realized that you actually have 2 new demons become available through it, that you kind of need, you know, if you want to get 100% compendium, I eventually decided, you know, fine, I'll come back and do it, which is why I'm doing it on this video and not 2 videos ago. Essentially, through here, you need to firstly talk to this spirit. You think this is the exit? There was a guy who escaped from here with something he called the Afterlife Bell. He was saying that the bell has the power to resurrect the dead. If that's true, I wonder if he's come back to life in a cemetery somewhere. That starts the side quest. What you need to do is, well, leave here and find a cemetery. There is one in the game, and we have actually been there already. But along the way, I decided to make a new fusion and make Lakeshmi.
Sure?
I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name. It's just how I've always said it, Lakeshmi. But I might be completely wrong. Lakeshmi of the Megami clan is going to be our final member of our full party. As I said before, Daisojo becomes a mainstay. Cerberus is a mainstay after we get him. And now Lakeshmi is going to be our magic and healer base to just wrap up the party entirely. But going back to Ikebukuro and leaving from the actual main entrance, the south entrance, you know where we came in from the underpass of Ginza, you want to actually run back to where we entered the underpass from, down here. Like, with dead silent, the next is running a fever pitch. Because when we left the underpass on the way to Ikebukuro, we actually passed by a cemetery. The mannequin over there died. He died the instant he became human. You see, humans cannot exist in the Vortex world. There's a stain of a shape of a human. Something is in its hand. Will you take it? Do so to continue this quest. You need that Afterlife Bell. The Afterlife Bell will allow you to make souls real again in one form or another. But from there, going back into the maze, there are not 1 but 2 souls you can find in the Hell Maze that if you talk to and use the Afterlife Bell on them, it will allow you to then fuse them. The first one is in the top left corner, the other one is in the bottom right corner. But because the maze locks doors behind you as you go, you need to essentially beeline straight in that direction, get yourself reset, and then beeline in the other direction. Those 2 souls are pretty interesting if you've been paying attention.
And eventually, you'll get somewhere. That's something I always believed. So I made my contribution to society by doing just that. My company grew as a result, and became highly regarded by all. Do you think my life was a success? That's what everybody else thought too. People envied me for my fortune. Until that one day, for the first time in my life, I had the urge to kill. So much anger, all because of that boy. Even to this day, I still ache for revenge. Of course, I didn't have the balls to do anything about it back then, when I was still playing by society's rules. So much time has passed, yet my soul still burns with rage. I should have taken revenge back then, for what that boy did to me. I sense that you have a power beyond that of any ordinary demon. Would you be willing to lead my wandering soul to salvation? I can see my writhing heart. A new shape surrounds it. I am in a place that gives rise to many demons.
That was the human original soul of Sakahagi. You know, the mannequin masochist that was going around murdering other mannequins and wearing their faces? that was the original human from it that we got to reconcile with and talk about. You might have already got an idea of who the other soul is then. Yes, it's Futomimi. And like, even though I've always thought this side quest was pretty cool, I never really bothered with it because I just didn't feel like it was that worth it. But since I want to 100% this game at some point, I need to do it at some point. There's two main rewards for doing this. The first one, the more blunt and obvious one, is that you actually get to fuse Sagahagi and Futomimi after doing this. If you use the Afterlife Bell on them, they will add to the potentials of your fusions. You can make Sagahagi and Futomimi. Yes, they will still be in their mannequin form, but they can be fused like a demon. They are treated like a demon, so you can fuse them to get extra pieces, yada yada. Speaking of Futomimi,
I want to ask you something. Do you think it's wrong to kill to your heart's content? Do you get me? Back when I was alive, I was practically a one-man slaughterhouse. They're all the same. Just flesh and blood under a thin layer of skin. But to tell you the truth, deep down inside, I've always wondered what it'd be like to feel warmth and kindness. I've lived my life causing nothing but pain and suffering for others, and never once felt bad about it. And I don't regret living that way either. But when I met that girl, the words just slipped out of my mouth. Everyone has kindness in their heart. Why the hell did I say that? Maybe I was just curious what it was like to be close to someone. To belong. If I could live my life again, I'd want to be the kind of person who everyone wants around. Damn, what am I saying? Why am I getting all emotional? You're really one weird demon. I've never told anyone about this before. Hey, by any chance, would you be able to guide my soul from here? I guess it's time to say goodbye to this place. The part of my soul that I was missing. The me that I really wanted to become. It's gonna wait with other demons for a new life.
if you fuse Futomimi and Sakahagi, you will get access to an item. It's like a black spyglass that will then be able to be used on all the cemetery gravestones, burial chambers, yada yada, that we have passed by throughout the Labyrinth of Amala, allowing you to then rematch bosses. And as I said before, if you decide to go with that, it's not a direct you just rematch the boss, it's you rematch them under a condition. That condition usually being do it under a set number of turns, so you have to bring your A game with it. I really wouldn't recommend doing it now, because you'll struggle with a lot of them. But I show off this fight, not because there's a new enemy in it, but because I had Dante in my party, and I wanted to showcase Dante just a little bit before we bench him. So I'm not going to... There's two specific boss fights later on that I'm going to be bringing Dante out for, but that's kind of it. And so because of that, I was like, well, I wanted to showcase him a little bit before I bench him again, just so you guys can get an idea of the fact that he is actually pretty cool and fun to use. Rebellion, like, never misses if you use that skill, and has a pretty high crit rate, so there's no reason to not use it. He does have a Zan-based skill and a Zeo-based skill, so you've got some magic coverage with him. He has his own version of Dekaja with Holy Star, where he gets rid of his his nerfs. There's a peephole. Will you look inside? But the other thing that's actually worth mentioning, is what this is about, is that once you've done that side quest, if you return to the peephole, you will actually get a little scene talking about Sagahagi and Futomimi. So there's actually an optional scene from the Lady in Black that you can get for doing this. So you might as well do it, if you want the more lore content.
What seems to be the matter? My master is resting right now. That's a very rare item that you have there. It's called the Afterlife Bell. It has the power to resurrect wandering souls. I thought it was still hidden in the Labyrinth of Amala. A mannequin must have stolen it and fled, in hopes of returning to the Vortex world. Speaking of which, Do you know how mannequins are born? They are originally fragments of human emotions that acquire physical form and become sentient. When the conception took place, Tokyo was purged of humans. It was a necessary step toward the rebirth of the world. But even after they died, their souls lingered. And likewise, their emotions. Weak emotions dissipated instantly, but strong ones remained. Those emotions sought receptacles and found refuge in the substance closest to life, Earth. They merged with the Earth and took shape one after another. For some, they became what they longed to be. For others, a side of them that they abhorred surfaced. Human emotions became mannequins and inhabited the vortex world. Creation is forbidden to them, and their very existence will be denied once the new world has been born. But some mannequins have possessed exceptional strength. If you bring them back to life with the afterlife bell, they might join you and help you during your journey, even if it's only for a short while. Perhaps it's worth a try. I think it's time for you to go back. There are still things you have to do.
But on that note, it's time to actually start the 5th and final kalpa of the Labyrinth of Amala. The rest of this video will be clearing it out. The next video will be the boss to wrap it up, the ending scene of the Labyrinth of Amala, and then afterwards we'll continue our journey all the way to the Diet Building. So about halfway through the next video, we will finally actually be continuing on. What's worth noting, and is a bit interesting, is that if you bring up the 5th kalpa map, and start scrolling down, there's a room on the 6th floor that you've apparently been in. And you might sit there and go, what? How? That 6th floor is actually somewhere we've been before. And it's somewhere that will become strikingly apparent once we get there, if you remember everywhere we've been in the game. And it's something that's actually pretty cool. I won't directly spoil where it is when we were there until we get there, but it is something that is kind of interesting. But anyway, this first room, the way it works is that there's a west and an east door, and through them there are these fake walls. You're generally trying to find a ladder, because if you follow the ladder through to another floor on here, it will then lead you to a switch that will unlock a door. And one will unlock to the path to the floor onwards, and the other will unlock a door to optional treasures and the burial chamber. I'm going to unlock both, but the treasure door, I'll point out where it is, but we'll be coming back for it later, because if you go into it before clearing the Labyrinth of Amala, it's a trap. You won't get far in it. You'll just get overwhelmed by heavy encounters, and the walls are physical. Like, you can't pass through the walls. You'll just get harmed if you try. Well, no, you won't get harmed. You just get into more encounters for trying. Here's the switch right in front of us, but we've got more encounters against these Resgravas, or however you call them. I wish that some of these demons had more pronounceable names. Some of them you just take a look at and you're like, what the hell is that? But we've got Lakeshmi in the team officially now. I've swapped out Dante. But as I said before, what you're looking at now is essentially the final team of the game. All that will happen beyond this point, where, like, with this going forward, is leveling them up and eventually using the Mitamas to boost their stats a little bit more to give them more of an advantage. In fact, the Mitama boosting actually kind of starts in this video because I boost Cerberus' strength to 40. And I did it because I wanted to be able to open a door later in this Kalpa. And for some reason, it doesn't work anyway. Maybe it's because it was strength gained by Kalpa. The game didn't count it as legit for some reason. But it refuses me access, so it is what it is. I show it when we get to it. But the 5th Kalpa is the longest per se, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the easiest to work your way out and find your way through. The only bit that's kind of a challenge, and it's something that you could actually miss, is that the ultimate reward, the real ultimate reward of the 5th Kalpa, that isn't just recruiting Dante or Raido if you're playing Chronicles, is in the 5th Kalpa as well. And it involves our little pixie. That pixie that joined the party right at the very start of the game that I told you, no matter what, keep with you. And to make sure you don't lose track of it, maybe don't fuse it either. Your reward for keeping a hold of that very first member is coming up. It is in this Kalpa. There's a specific door that will only open if you present it your most loyal comrade. And it is referring to the very first person, the very first demon you ever had join you. If you give it anything else, it won't open the door. And that's essentially how the later half of the 5th Kalpa works. The 5th Kalpa is kind of divided into 2 sections with this weird middle piece in between that's kind of just there. What I mean is this is the first piece where it's the 2 doors, both of them have a ladder on the end, and both have a switch on them that open doors to allow you to get around more, so you can explore more of it and yada yada. But then there's this one floor, like on B3, I think it's B3 it's on, that's just kind of there. It's just a bunch of doors with rooms that don't really lead to anything, and there's no loot. It just kind of exists. And you'll know what I'm referring to when we get to it, because I spend like 2 seconds on it. I just leave. Like, I don't really talk to anyone. It's like, I just leave, because it's just such a non-existent floor. Like, it's just there, like I said, to talk to other demons and whatnot, to get more of a feel of the lore of what you're doing and get a better understanding of where you're going. But it's still kind of like, oh, okay, this is just here then. But then once you get to B4 and B5, oh yeah, this is me just kind of feeling my way out and getting around. So I didn't make that many notes with this and with the 5th Kalpa, unlike the 4th, because I kind of knew where I was going and how lenient it is. I said the 5th Kalpa is a lot more linear. But once you get to B4 and B5, oh, this is the door, by the way. This is the door I was saying, like, it says, "I'll test your hearts. If you're a true demon, then you may see what lies beyond the door." What he means is you need to be true demon, as in be on the path of the true demon ending. We have not cleared the Labyrinth of Amala, so when we go through here, the walls will remain walls. When we come back later, after we have cleared it, it won't be the case. But the enemies here, in this specific room, are dastardly strong, so be extremely cautious of this. That Cert in the middle is a tyrant-based demon, and it's one of the stronger ones. It will mess you up if you are not careful. It is bulky as hell. That's not even Tetraconic, because I'm like, oh, that's a Cert. Like, that thing will fight you, and it will win if you are not careful. And I say that, the two demons next to it aren't particularly brilliant either. That's an unfortunate Hellfire that it didn't hit Cerberus. But that's one that you can see, I'm only really prioritizing the Cert, because I know that's the threat. Of the 3 here, that is the most significant threat. But as I was saying, on the later floors of the 5th Kalpa, every single door has a prerequisite that you need to fulfill before it will let you open. And it's not to do with you, it's only ever to do with your demons. It will be like, present a very magical demon, and it's like you have to present a demon with its magic stat being 25 or higher. It'll be like, present a very lucky demon, and it's the same deal, 25 or higher. But there's 2 specific doors, and one of them is present a demon of absolute darkness, and the other is present a demon of absolute light. It is referring to Beelzebub, or Beelzebub, and the light one is referring to Metatron, the right hand of God. And to jump the gun, the boss of the 5th Kalpa will be the noble voice we heard in the earlier floors is Metatron, and we'll be fighting Metatron at the end of this Kalpa to act as the final boss of this mega labyrinth. But if you can then fuse Beelzebub and then fuse Metatron, you can bring them to those 2 doors to access them. One of them will result in you getting a demon that has Pierce on it, allowing you to finally get Pierce on all your demons. The skill that makes it so physical attacks will ignore immunities, blocks, and resistances. So you can get a lot of free hits with your demons, which is great for making the true final boss of the game a complete joke. If you get to a high enough level that you can make Metatron, because Metatron's like level 95. Like, it's not something you're getting anytime soon. And you need to fuse I can't remember I think it's 3 of the Archangels before you can do it. Like, you need to do a lot of work to even get Metatron. And Beelzebub is a lot of effort as well. But if you can actually fuse them and open the doors, and be level 95, because that's the level you need to be before you can even fuse Metatron, you're already probably going to be way too high a level and way too powerful for the final bosses of the game. But the level I reached the final bosses at, even that I felt was ever so slightly over leveled. Like, not too much. Like, I'd say if you're level 80 at the final boss, that's a comfortable level. If you're higher than, any higher than, I want to say like 84, 85, the difficulty of the final boss isn't gonna be there unless you have a very bad strategy. But any lower than around 75, you're gonna have to really work your ass off to make it work to win the final fight. Well, you have to have a really strong strategy. So I always feel like level 80 is a good roundabout, and I think I hit the final boss at 83. So I'm not at the sweet spot 80. But I'm not like 85 and beyond. Like, I'm not what I feel is over leveled, so I'm kind of just at a point of it. And I believe this is still me pushing through Satan to try and get Deadly Fury, the last skill it has. And I get cursed for my trouble, which is brilliant. Which is the first instance of a curse, I believe. You see me, I sit there and go, oh great, I'm cursed, alright. Curse. The biggest thing for it is that it will affect demon fusions. It will allow you to get specific demons that you previously couldn't. But the biggest compromise that you need to be aware of when you are cursed... Also, there's some bosses there that we haven't fought yet, so remember that burial chamber for later if you're going through them all. Is that it nulls out your stats a lot. Your stats, all of your stats are going to be around 7 or 8 points lower than they actually are until you get rid of the curse. So from this point onwards, my priority is pushing back home to get to a Fountain of Life to relieve me of the curse. Off the top of my head, I don't know if it's required for you to be cursed at some point to get like everything in the compendium. Because if it is required, then I'm going to have to go into New Game Plus eventually at some point anyway. Because on my main save where I've been playing through it, I have finally maxed out all the Magatamas and maxed out my stats for those trophies. It was a ridiculously hellish grind, but on the plus side is I have so much goddamn marker now on my main save that I should be okay for a while in grinding out the rest of the compendium in terms of fusions. So it just takes a long ass time. My best bet, really, when I want to start actually grinding the compendium, so I'm not doing it yet because I burnt the fuck out grinding out that level. I just wanted to get it done. But once I do go back to it, the thing I'll do is I'll run through every single dungeon of the game and just initiate conversations with as many as possible and try and recruit as many as possible through that way. And then once I've gone through every single dungeon, then start doing the fusion apocalypse and see where I get to. But because of the curse being what it is, I decided to take this opportunity, now we've circled back round to the start, to leave. And firstly, listen to the music, because this is a unique theme that only plays when you are cursed.
All right. Oh? Are you sure? Oh, all right.
I haven't talked about music in this game as much as I would in a lot of other projects. And to be fair, a lot of it is just because on the PS5 version of Share Factory, it auto-mutes the audio now, and there's no setting to turn that off. So I'm not listening to the music as the footage goes on post-recordings, so it just doesn't cross my mind as much. But the soundtrack for Nocturne is brilliant. If you can listen to it though, listen to it off the official soundtrack release and not the in-game version. Because as I've said before, the audio quality was absolutely butchered. Funnily enough, because of the way I fused Takeshmi, when I level up once, she gets like all of her skills. Mana Surge is amazing, it boosts your MP by 30%. So I was like, I get rid of just Seduce and just like, yeah, I'll have that. Do I keep Sakracam? Samarakama? I don't think I do. I certainly don't keep Rakamdra. Rakamdra has never been a skill I've been fond of. Rakamdra is that your demon will completely sacrifice and kill themselves, but all the other demons on the field will get all their health and MP back. And to me, it's just not worth it. I would much rather just use I didn't mean to hit the mic. Just use a chakra pot or a great chakra or something to, if I wanted my whole party to have their MP back. Sacrificing a whole party member is never worth it, in my opinion. There might be some like elite strats that I don't know about that make the most out of it, but it's just, to me at least, I've just never been on board with it. But now we're actually going to proceed onwards. This video, to give you an idea of how much progress we make, we get to the door of the boss and then I stop recording there because I didn't know how long the fight against the boss is going to last. Oh, this is the room I was talking about, where all there's really around here is demons to talk about. This floor is just demons that you can talk to that will give you an idea of where you're going and what's going on, and talk about the Lord Lucifer. They'll talk about Lucifer. They're their lord. And he says, well, I wonder what the master thinks. But you literally just go through this door, and there's the end. Now we're on to the B4. It's literally that quick. It's such a, not pointless, because it's very lore driven, but it's just kind of like, oh, okay. But this is the floor where every door here, every gold door here at least, will have a specific request, and if you cannot fulfill it, it will refuse you access. But not only that, as that Jinn just explained, if you give it a demon that doesn't fulfill the request, it will just kill that demon. So in this instance, I'm like, okay, this is a door that asks for strength. My Cerberus has literally the max strength. So I will just cycle through until it asks for Cerberus. Have Cerberus step forward. Yes, the door would not budge. I was like, what? Your comrade's strength does not meet the expectations? Excuse me? It kills Cerberus, and it says it's not strong enough. Its strength is maxed. What? Look. It's because it wants a demon that natively has strength 25. Cerberus's 25 strength was boosted through Nitamas, and so it wasn't. So it just didn't accept it. It wants a demon that naturally has 25. So I had to go back and fuse a new demon that naturally had 25 strength, which resulted in the fusion of this Kali. Or Kali. Because it does have 25 strength, so I can just sacrifice Kali. Which also meant I had to backtrack all the way back up after getting that far. You know, after only just backtracking a minute ago for the curse. Then come all the way back down, just to instead present the Kali to open the door. But this specific door you desperately want to open, because it will allow you free access to open every other door. If you don't have a demon of 25, you just need to go and fuse one. I know it's not as easier said than done, but you just need to desperately get one, because it's too significant going this way to not. And here's me just double confirming. 25 strength. 40 strength. Thanks, game. I said just because it was boosted and it's not like something it was born with, it just the game decided to screw me over on that one. Oh well. But you want to go this way if you kept that pixie / high pixie from the start. Because we're approaching the door, that very door I was talking about, that will specifically request that you use your most loyal comrade. And it is referring to the very first demon that joined. Which is why I so desperately said do not let your pixie go when you first entered Yoyogi Park way back when. So let the one that has been with you the longest step forward. Have High Pixie step forward? Yes. You have with you a mighty comrade. You may pass. And when you enter this room, High Pixie is acting strangely. What is this? This power growing inside me? No. Hello, Pixie. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I've been right here by your side from the very beginning. You're not waiting for me to say my line, are you? Alright.
Pixie of the Fairy Clan. Please take care of me.
This Pixie that you get is very special. And is more than worth it. It is level 80. Has 30 across the board and has Mesiodyne, Megadaleon, Mediarahan, Sakracam, and Endure. This thing is amazing. This Pixie is so amazing. like the fact that you get, firstly, level 80, 30 across the board, that's so goddamn good. Pixie is, if you're going for the trophy of having a demon stats be completely maxed out, Pixie is actually your best bet. Because that's only 40 levels. She only needs to hit a level 120 before you get everything. Whilst all the other demons, they could be that level and be like 50 odd less. Like, I haven't done that grind yet, because I really don't want to. But, yeah, like, that is something you can do. But Pixie is amazing. That specific Pixie is amazing. But because it comes to you natively like that, you can actually use that Pixie for every single other door that has a stat requirement to open here. Which is the other reason why you want to push to pick up that Pixie first. Because every single door that asks for luck, whether it's agility or magic or whatever, or vitality, Pixie can open. So you have access to pretty much the entirety of this floor now, minus 2 doors. The door that requires Beelzebub and the door that requires Metatron. So make the most of it. Like, clear this place out. Get your loot. Get your rewards. But like I said, the Pixie you get is such an amazing reward, and I hope they do something like that again in 5. Because like, that was such a badass thing that it's like if you keep that first comrade all the way through, it pays off by giving you such a legendary reward. But you're going to see me cut around a little bit because there's a lot of doors here, and I wanted to show you everywhere we hadn't been. If you wish to pass, let one whose soul is black step forward. That's the one talking about Beelzebub. So I just leave it. I just click give up. I don't try and present a demon. But that's the one that requires Beelzebub, and later on there will be like one like blessed by the light, and it's talking about Metatron. But this is all a bunch of one-way doors, so circling back round to the start where the Djinn was, it's now time for us to proceed west. Then one of great magic step forward. Lakeshmi could probably do it. Oh, I did go for it. Oh, okay. It's like there's a part of me I was like, do I go for it or do I just go for Pixie and play it safe? Because I wasn't checking their stats. Oh, I don't even check the door behind me. Not that there's anything interesting there. They want a great agility step forward. So this one, I'm like, no, I'm just going to get Pixie for this. A Daisojo. A Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp's at level 1. There they have Pixie. Will-O-Wisp I just got on an off chance. That Will-O-Wisp, it was when I was going for the third... I think it was the third Horseman. And I went back to the Shinjuku Medical Center. I bumped into a Will-O-Wisp and it demanded to be in my party. So I was like, you know, sure, dude. You're just an extra point in the compendium. This is me checking which way's the right way and which one isn't. So I'm looking, there's another gold door that I'm specifically looking for as I'm traveling around. And you do have to go around this way because a lot of them are one-way doors and you just kind of get stopped if you try and go any other way. Oh, here it is. Can you feel it? I can feel great power from this door, which leads below. Something even stronger than Beelzebub. If you choose to proceed, be careful. The door is closer to this one. It's saying that's the path to the boss. The other gold door, that's the one that says you need Metatron to open, I believe. But when you go down here, the aesthetic should start to look familiar to you from the very start of the game. The reason why I was referring to at the start, and you'll see more of it in the next video after we fight Metatron, but in that little glimmer of a tutorial we had when we first got our power, before we even left that basement, you know, when we just got warped to a dimension and did like 3 tutorial fights, briefly talked with the man in the wheelchair, and then was kicked out, and we did the Shinjuku Medical Center dungeon. We're back there. We're actually back there, but now properly. Which is sort of like a nice little twist of itself, because it reveals that the tutorial you went to, Lucifer was so interested to see what your power would be, he immediately took you to the very end of the Labyrinth of Amala to give you like a bare minimum test. Saw how you fought and went, okay, he needs a lot of training, I'm going to set him on a test, so set up the whole thing with the Fiends. And now you're back here, but now you fought your way back here and have earned it. And I just thought that was really cool. Like, when you worked that out and you realised, no, it is actually the same place, and we'll be passing by the same loot and the same ideas and the same, like, souls and everything on the other side of Metatron. I was like, that's so cool. Also, there's a soul here. There's your table escape if you want to just get out easy. But when you're ready, you'll be opening the door, which we'll be doing next time. So next time on SMT3 Nocturne, we finally wrap up the entirety of the Labyrinth of Amala. But until then, you guys take care now. Peace.